everyone, welcome to Reading Sprints, and today, as you can see, I'm joined by two very lovely people, and both of whom I've recently been able to meet in real life, which is really nice, and are also online friends of mine. I can see people are starting to join the chat, so welcome everyone. If you hear any crashes, my husband is building bookshelves. I just heard a loud, emphatic jangle of things falling on the floor upstairs, so everything is fine if you hear strange sounds in the background. So today, I don't know which side you're going to be on, so I'm not going to point at you, but we are joined by Charlie from Paper Orange. Charlie is an Instagrammer, TikToker, YouTuber who has a fabulous book box that is promoting UKYA books, which I, being a UKYA author, I'm particularly appreciative of. And it's just a really, obviously, you can see very sunshiny presence. And likewise, Peter is all about positivity and horror. So he reviews books on Instagram and now YouTube. You're Positively Horror on YouTube as well, aren't you? Is that right?
Yeah.
Brill. So if you want to support a new YouTuber and have some horror chat that is all very positive and friendly, then Peter is your go-to person. So thank you for joining me, you two. Am I right in saying, Peter, it's your first live reading sprint tonight?
It is, yeah.
Exciting. And yours too, Charlie.
Yeah, I've been live a million times, but I've never done a sprint of anything before. So this is quite exciting.
Yeah, I joined one with a friend and then discovered that I was addicted to it because it makes me super productive. I get to chat to people about books and whatever kind of pops into my brain. And yeah, somehow being on screen makes me feel like I've got to write and got to get my words down because people are looking at me. I'm going to just go to the comments because people are starting to chat. So feel free to tell us in the comments what you are reading, ask us some questions. Particularly, I've mentioned the interest of my two lovely guests. Feel free to ask Peter for Horror Rex, Charlie to talk about, everything brightly coloured and bookish under the sun. That's just about covers it probably, doesn't it? So I'm just going to go, hi, Kasha. Thank you for joining us. And Kev just confusingly saying hi to Kasha, not to everyone else. Rude. Kev is my husband. If you hear me just giving him more of a hard time than other people, I'm not being really mean. Oh, hi, Shelley. Thank you for joining us. I think Shelley knows both of you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Shelley's one of those lovely bookish people. If you're into point horrors, you definitely need to follow her on TikTok and Instagram. Oh, hi. Thank you for joining us. I'm seeing some familiar names, which is lovely. Now I've been doing these sprints for a little bit. Hi, Caroline. This comment's coming slightly slowly, so just bear with me. Hi, Kirsty. Oh, sorry you're not feeling the best, but we can try and push through the writing together. I was just saying to the other two, I'm very tired because I've been traipsing around a wildlife park all day after a 2-year-old. So yeah, I'm probably not going to be my most energetic either tonight. Ooh, A Lesson in Vengeance. Tell us more. That rings a bell, but I can't remember anything about it. Have either of you two read that?
I haven't. It is on my list, so you're going to have to let me know how it is because the cover, you'll have seen the cover. It's gorgeous. And it's one of those.
I'm sure I will have done.
Looks like the kind of book that I would like. I know it's don't judge a book by its cover, but
Oh, we all do though, don't they? Like as soon as you say book cover, like I can think of instantly like all these books that I've picked up just for that very reason. I'm just going to keep going through the comments. Then I'm going to ask you two what you're going to do in the sprints. So be thinking about that. Oh, Shelley's reading this month's Point Horror Pick. I have not started reading it yet, Shelley. I promise I will really try this month to read it. As Kev says, he will be sprinting at IKEA bookshelves and be the source of any noise. Toddler screaming also may be from me, so apologies for that. Oh, Dracula. I've read so many times. I love Dracula. Are either of you kind of traditional horror fans, or are you more of the modern horror, Peter? Have you read Dracula?
No. I don't really tend to read a lot of the older stuff. I've read quite a lot of Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
But I've read graphic novelizations of some of the classics. I read a graphic novel of Frankenstein quite a long time ago, but I've never actually read the actual novels. I do have a lovely version of it on my bookshelf and a really nice hardback edition of Dracula, but I've not read it yet.
I would recommend giving it a go. It's one of those that I think is quite accessible, and the language doesn't seem like too much of a barrier for me anyway. I do switch off sometimes with the more densely written classics, but that one is one of my favourites. I tend to push through when it's vampires anyway. How about you, Charlie? Are you much of a classics reader?
I've read Frankenstein and Dracula because of school.
I wish they'd asked me to read those at school. I didn't get to read stuff
I
like
really
that.
liked them both, but then other classics, it's that kind of old-timey, too much for my brain to comprehend. Like, there's so many books that I want to read that are far easier for me to understand. So I tend to go with like those rather than the classics, because I'm one of those terrible people. I don't have the patience.
I think that's one of the reasons I like YA, that I do. No, I totally get it. I think that I find if a book is difficult to read, because I'm usually tired when I'm reading as well. If it's dense, I'm just probably not going to get into it. Kirsty has asked me the question that every bookshelf builder dreads. My bookshelves will be full immediately, I think, when they're built, because my books have lived on the floor, a lot of them, for quite a while. So it'll be exciting that they'll all have a home, but I don't think there's going to be much empty space, sadly. Oh yeah, Gav did a great Whitby vlog. If anybody's wondering, we're talking about How to Train Your Gavin. Visited Whitby and read Dracula, and it was really atmospheric and fun. And I'm actually going to Whitby to do some book stuff next weekend, so it did make me really excited about going there. It's really good. I think you would like it, Caroline. I recommend giving it a go. Cash is going to start The Haunting of Tyrese Walker. Okay, spooky middle grade. Who is that by, Kasha? I am interested by that title.
J Rose, something like that.
Okay, I've not heard of that person. I'm really bad with names though, so please don't take that on as any reflection on the author.
I think it's a debut from Manchester.
Oh, cool. Oh, I do want to read then. I'm on the side of... No, I'm going to look into that. I like my fellow Northern authors. Yeah, classics can be scary. Yeah, Kasha says JP Rose, cool. So I think I've got through a lot of the comments for now. Do you two want to tell us what are you planning to do in the sprints, Charlie? What's the plan today?
So there's a couple of things I can do, and we're just gonna see how it goes. I do have my current read at the moment, which is this. I brought this through because I don't. Does anybody else read them without these on?
I tend to start with them on, get annoyed by them, and then take them off. So yeah.
Apparently people read them with these still on, and that is the most annoying thing in the world, but that's a whole different discussion. So I've got that to read. I've got a few little things I need to sew, and cool. I also have some planning for the UKYA week in November, like timetabling and etc. So I'm hoping to get a bit of that done today, because there's a lot to do.
I was going to say, you do so many things, Charlie. I'm impressed. If you get even a small percentage of that done, that will be very impressive. How about you, Peter? What are the plans for the sprints tonight?
Well, I've been toying with the idea of a new short story that I was going to be writing. There's submissions at the moment from a independent publishing, Tales of Darkness. I can't remember what that's the name of one of their compendiums, and they release quite a few in different genres, and they're open at the moment for short story selections of stories of 101 words.
Oh, that's interesting. Gosh, I can barely write a sentence with 101 words.
So a bit like a Drabble, but 1+ word.
Interesting.
So I was thinking of any of the short story ideas that I've been playing with, maybe seeing if I could fit any of them into 101 words and have a play with that. I've also got on Positively Horror every October on Instagram, we do a month-long photo challenge that is set up between myself and my twin brother, and I'm currently putting that together at the moment, so there's a bit of room to carry on putting some of that together at the moment as well.
Cool. Well, both of you, please feel free to ask me to do stuff for either of those things for your November thing and your October thing. I would definitely like to join in.
You're just in my plans anyway, Amy. Like,
just add me to them. You know that toddlers may derail things and books may derail things, but just assume I'm there unless something in my life is going to cause it to crash and burn.
and then double check before like I announce it. Obviously, I don't want to announce it and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, am I?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah." But yeah, I assume.
Yeah, do. And feel free to remember I've got my little list of like horror friend people as well that I can always bring along. So if you ever need horror authors, I've got plenty of them who'll be chomping at the bit to join in. Hi, Pax. Thank you for joining us. And, a good photo challenge. You're very good at photos, Shelley, as well. So I think that we should all be joining in Positively Horror's photo challenge. I think then, without further ado, we probably need to get to the first sprint. So if you would like to tell us in the comments, feel free to go quiet during the sprint or tell us what you're reading, give us a bit of an update, and we will get back to you afterwards. Peter and Charlie, as I mentioned, we've got a private chat. So if you want to contact me, that's probably the best place. I'm going to leave my camera on, but I'm going to be concentrating on my writing. So if I'm pulling faces at you, apologies in advance. But thank you both so much so far, and thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to mute us all now and pop the little timer up. I'm going to put up a kitty, which will make an obnoxious meowing sound in 40 minutes, just to warn you. And I'm just going to bring it up. So apologies if it makes you jump. I'm going to mute us all now, so we'll see you on the other side. Hello, everyone. Sorry about the kitty. Did I get you, Charlie? Just a little bit. I warned you, but it gets people every time. I just find it so cute. Did you look at its little face? I mean, I'm not just meowing aside. I do like that little cat. I like the reactions too. Okay, I'm just going to go to comments because if you came in, and then if you want to let us know what you did during the sprints, you two, after that. My comments are running a little bit slow. Just bear with me. Oh, The Three Musketeers. I haven't read that for a long time. On this Reddit of Classics, how is it? I'm assuming it's the original. Is it Alexander Dumas version? Oh, Nothing Less by Anna Todd. Never heard of that. Hi, Tina. Have either of you heard of that book? Maybe you can tell us what it is about. I'm assuming it's not YA if Charlie and I haven't heard of it between us, but maybe. Hi, Naomi. Naomi is a lovely person and excellent author. If anybody, and Charlie's agreeing with me, she wrote Every Line of You, which is brilliant. I think she may be working on her next book while she's writing with us. So thanks for joining us, Naomi. No sound. Can everybody else hear us okay? Is it just Green Earth having a problem? Please let us know. Hi, Laura. Ooh, I love Vicious and Vengeful. Have you read those, Charlie or Peter? Charlie, yes. Peter, no. I feel like you would like them. Have you read any Victoria Schwab, Peter?
I've read one.
Which one have you
City
read?
of Bones, is it? The one
that's
set
Cassandra.
in Scotland.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking that was Cassandra Clare, but is it called? Oh, there's Tunnel of Bones. Is it City of Ghosts, I think?
City of Ghosts.
Yeah, I really like those. I think they're probably my favourites. If you haven't read any more, I would recommend those. Vicious and Vengeful are supervillain books. So they have that slight horror feel to them. Sorry, what were you going to say,
my
Peter?
wife has read all of her books.
Oh, really?
But I've only managed to get to the one so far.
I've read them all except the fantasy ones because I'm not as big a fantasy reader. I've taken a bit longer to get to those. I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry. Don't throw anything.
Just gonna leave.
I know. Sorry. I've offended Charlie. Peter's with me. Horror and thrillers is where it's at, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I will read fantasy, but I tend to struggle with like old world fantasy.
Yeah, look, Charlie's like ready to fight us.
I prefer like contemporary dark fantasy, like the type of fantasy that Clive Barker writes when he's writing fantasy. Whereas when it's your kind of Game of Thrones type of fantasy, I really struggle hard with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's high fantasy for me. I think is difficult because I just get really lost in all the world building, and I don't know if it's an imagination thing. I think I just get a bit like carried away by it. But then there's lots of fantasy I do read, like Laini Taylor's books are some of my actual favourites, and they're fantasy. And I know that Charlie is not going to flirt me over this because I love Catherine and Liz Corr's books, Charlie, so you're fine. I do love those because they're accessible, and I think as long as fantasy is accessible, I can totally love it. I just the ones that are like 2,000 pages long and the first 500 pages is just world building. I can't do it. But what can you suggest then, Charlie? We're obviously a little bit undecided, me and Peter. If we had to read one fantasy book to kind of 100% get us on Team Fantasy, what would you say? And then, or several, give us like a long list of books.
Have I read Rebel? 1 minute. Follow me to my. This is going to go terribly.
Oh, you're such a professional, Charlie. Look at this, like actual shelf tour just off the cuff. Look at it.
Well,
love it.
Obviously, we've got the cars here. They're
yes.
great.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. Cat and Liz Court are excellent. I'm very lovely people.
Have you read this duology?
Actually, yes. And I've read the first one and I did really like it. So yes, okay.
That's great because that's kind of like your similar vein. Where else? What else have we got?
Again, that feels like, although it's a different world, I think anything grounded a bit in reality, I can cope with.
These are really good too.
Yes, yeah, okay, I do read fantasy. I was lying. I love those as well.
You totally do. See, there's different types. So we've got, this is probably more what you don't like.
What are those? I can't see.
These are Brandon Sanderson, so they're like the big, like classics that people.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'd have to build up to. Were you saying something about Rebel Skies or Rebel something?
Rebel Skies is incredible. That's Anne's.
See, I saw the cover of that and it did instantly appeal to me. So maybe that can be one that I'll. Yeah, I mean, look at that; it's beautiful.
This is a bit like Studio Gimli as well. Like,
oh, okay, cool,
very, very good. And what else? Ivory Key's really good as well.
Okay, I think I'm Rebel. Oh, that looks cool. I like that cover. Yeah, I think Rebel Skies might have won me over. And I always forget. Maybe I forget how much fantasy I actually do read. Okay.
I think like fantasy, and it's such like a broad. There's like so many different types.
Yeah, some people do say my books are fantasy, and I always think of like paranormal books. I don't know, being a slightly different thing, but maybe I'm just dissing my own category of books. I don't know. So let's go to what we were actually. I think I've just taken us off on a complete tangent there. But Charlie, what did you do during the sprints? Did you get anything on your epic list done?
Yes, I have booked in some time with undisclosed authors for undisclosed things.
Fun.
I started reading a little bit of my book, and I've planned out a little bit more of the week. So
cool. See, it's productive, isn't it? Don't you feel like a little bit under pressure to be productive because people are watching you?
Yeah, I was like, I can't just sit here and do nothing. Like I have to like actually do some work. It's great. I love it.
Amy's going to know if I scroll TikTok. I did do a TikTok, I have to admit. Full disclosure, I wasn't fully productive. Peter, how about you? Was it productive time? Did you write a 101-word story?
I wrote 2.5.
Okay.
Because as I say, I just had a few ideas that I was trying to play with and put down into 101. The first one that I started writing, it got to 110 words, and I thought, no, that's not going to happen. So
maybe that's a book. Like you can save that one.
So I just moved on to another idea, and then another one, and I managed to get 2 down to 101, and then I was just on a third one. Then when the cat told us it was time.
In 40 minutes, that's impressive. I wrote 500 words of quite a sexy scene that I'm quite enjoying that got ruined by some horror. So, like, you know, you're not allowed to do too much kissing in my books before something horrible happens. So, yeah, that was quite fun. I was enjoying that. And I read some of this book, Lord of the Fly Fest by Goldie Moldovsky. Not UKYA, Charlie, but I feel like you need to make an exception.
I do make exceptions. I can't speak now, and I have been seeing that everywhere, and that cover has my attention.
It's
talking
beautiful.
About cover designs again, but like it has my attention.
So the main character Raffi has gone on what she thinks is going to be an epic festival weekend where she's going to meet this elusive musician who's been involved in some scandals and possible murders. And she gets there and there's no festival and everything is just a complete wreck. There's no food, nothing going on. And this whole island of influencers, like, somebody rescue us, what's happening? And she seems to be the only person with any common sense on the island. So it's really fun so far. And the last girl, Goldie's previous book, I feel like is one for you, Peter. It's sort of a horror thriller slasher vibes. Have you come across that one? Did you? Did you like it?
Yeah, well, it was. I listened to the audio. I got it out from the library on audio, and I think it was last year. I listened to that. Okay. Yeah, it was a good one. I liked all the like horror kind of references in it.
Yeah, it's good for referencing horror, and I think it sort of plays with the tropes in a really fun way too. I'm glad you're both super productive. I feel like we've been a good team so far. Let's go to the comments and see if everybody was productive. See, I may have stolen Mina's name from Dracula. Yes, I did. I didn't. So Mina never had another name because Mina and the Undead is set in New Orleans, for anyone who doesn't know my first book. And New Orleans came first. And then as soon as I started thinking about vampires and what would work, I knew there was going to be a main character called Mina. And I didn't know why. I didn't know it was because her mum was going to be some vampire obsessive that would name her that. But yeah, she was always Mina. And Libby, her name came straight away too, because I thought, what other kind of interesting females are there in vampire mythology? And Elizabeth Bathory came to mind. And I thought Libby would have a kind of cute take on the name, that maybe she wouldn't use the full Elizabeth. Sorry, Charlie. You're very expressive, Charlie. That's all we mean. I mean,
I've now put my book down somewhere, but I was in a very good part of my book, and I was trying to keep an eye on the countdown, and I literally must have forgotten about it in the past 2 minutes, and yeah, jumped.
It got you. It gets somebody every time. It got Ashlyn too. Ashlyn came on the chats a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week. I've lost all track of days. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And yeah, so she knows how it feels. Ashlyn, also an author. We've got some good authors in the chat today. Ashlyn wrote Big Bad Me that comes out really soon, and it's a cool werewolf and vampire book that everybody needs to check out. Comes out in October, I think, that one. 1,033 words is awesome. And you're not feeling great as well. Kirsty is mega prolific. Read 4%. Well done, Tina. Yeah, I think everyone else can hear us. I think there might be one person have an issue with their sound. Hope that person manages to get to us. Ooh, a woman is no man. That sounds interesting. Who wrote it? Tell us a little bit about it, Ellie. Nothing less new adult romance. Ooh, as soon as you say new adult, I'm instantly interested because I keep thinking I should read a bit more new adult and see. I quite like the idea of the boundaries of romance being pushed a little bit because YA tends to fade to black a lot, doesn't it? And you don't get the kind of juicy stuff. Peter's thinking, okay, I'll take your word for it.
I think it depends on the YA.
Yeah, it does. I mean, some of it.
Camp by Lev Rosen and the other Lev Rosen book, I can't remember what it was called now. Jack of Hearts and Other Parts.
Okay. Oh yeah.
They get a bit spicy for YA, and so do Casey McQuiston's books. Red, White, and Royal Blue goes.
I just assumed you wouldn't have read spicy YA romance. I shouldn't have assumed that. I really want to read I can't speak. Red, White, and Royal Blue. Do you think I'd like that?
Oh, it's very good. I do read quite a bit of the of romance. Usually, if it's queer, though.
Yeah.
I tend to read more romance in the queer realms.
Charlie's gone to get a recommendation for you.
Right. This is borderland fantasy, right? This. I read this the other day in 2 sittings. It is incredible. It's a shy prince and a reluctant bodyguard.
Oh. Okay. Sold. What's it called?
Sold.
Yeah, that sounds adorable.
Yeah.
Who's it by? Alexandra Rowland, is it?
Rowland, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Adorable.
Yeah, please remind me, you two, of all these recommendations you're giving us at the end. Just send me them a message because I'm sure I'll instantly forget. Yay, I'm excited, Shelley. I opened a package during the chat and look what it was. My Point Horror Book Club read, Nightmare Hall, The Roommate. I do remember a bit about this one from the 90s, so I am going in with spoilers aplenty, but yeah, I thought I didn't, Caroline. Charlie's proven me wrong. Maybe we can tempt you.
It's just, I think when people think of fantasy, they think of the core fantasy, and I think fantasy kind of.
Yeah, I think the best genre fiction. I love genre fiction that kind of has little bits of everything. I love something that can say it's a horror with touches of thriller and romance. I think that's where I feel very happy. Yeah, Shelley. Me too. I remember Shell and I bonding over that when we first met. Rebel Skies. I think that's definitely one I'm going to add to my list. Yeah, TikTok does seem to be telling us all that we need to read this book. Let me know what you think, Kirsty, because I think I've read about 40 pages and I'm really enjoying it so far. Oh, thank you for everybody listening to my recommendations. It is good. I recommend it. Yeah, you'll love it, Shelley. It's really good so far. I'm not feeling strong. I'm not feeling really strong horror feels yet. That's the only thing. I would say if you're looking for the kind of, the last girl had more of a horror, this is sort of speaking to more of a thriller way. And I'm kind of waiting for the big shock stuff to happen. It feels like it's building a bit. So if you can work through the build, I think it's going to be really, really good. Oh, I haven't heard of that author either. Starts from POV, a woman in Palestine who's on arranged marriage and switches to a daughter's POV. Only read a couple of chapters and enjoying it. Interesting. Nothing Less, a second book in a spin-off series. The after series, you may have heard of it, is published Harry Styles fanfiction. Whoa. Okay, no, I haven't. Intriguing, though. Okay, no, I haven't heard of them. I'm going to have to check them out. I don't know whether I can see the comments after this, but I keep thinking I get all these good recommendations. I'm going to have to try and start like sit with a notebook next to me to make notes. So I think in the next chat, I try and write 1,000 words a day. I think I wrote about 500 in that one. So I'm going to try and blast through my next 500. It seems to be all I've got the brain power for 1,000 words. I'm done after being a toddler mum all day. So I think I'm going to try and do that and read a little bit more of this. How about you, Charlie? What's the plan for the next one?
I think I'm going to maybe do a little bit of sewing, read some more, and try not jump at the cat if it's coming back.
It is coming back. It'll be in just over 40 minutes, Charlie. So just get yourself ready.
I'm
Peter,
just gonna sit there like until it goes, and then I'll be fine.
Yeah, I do. For the last 30 seconds, I just sit. You can probably see me on the camera, like staring at the cat, so that it doesn't get me. How about you, Peter? What are you going to do in the next 40-minute sprint?
Well, I'm going to see if I can finish that third short that I was on with.
Awesome.
I remember the name of the thing. It's Collective Tales Publishing.
Oh, cool. I've not heard of them. I'm going to have to check that out.
It just wouldn't come into my mind before. But then they're doing...
it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they're doing this thing, Spooky Stories, Darkness 101, it's called, where they're doing
Awesome.
the 101 word stories. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think I could write short stories, and I've written 2 in the past year for various things, one of which is going to be an anthology coming out next month called Lurking in the Dark. But yeah, I've discovered that short stories are really fun because you don't have to keep like a whole 80,000 word kind of epic in your head. You can just concentrate on that little snippet. Do you tend to be more of a short form or long form writer, Peter?
Short stories is all I've really written. I get these, the little horror ideas that I can just put down. But I have been starting to develop ideas for a longer form, maybe a novel or possibly novella. I'm not sure. And I have already started putting that down. I've got about 4 chapters so far, but because I'm not a great planner, I like to just get ideas in my head and then run with it. So it's kind of been a bit of that. So
you're speaking to someone who's written 2 books so far and not fully planned them out and just kind of muddled my way through. Planned a bit, got excited, written a bit, planned a bit more, gone back and forth. And I think it works differently for everyone. Let me know if you want to chat about your book ideas and kind of pushing on to the next stage, because I think you've read that much great horror. I think there's a great horror story in you as well. I can imagine, definitely. I'm going to pop a banner up now just to say hi to people who are joining us. If you want to let us know in the comments during the chat, please join the sprints even what you've been reading and what you're planning to do, please let us know. I'm going to put the cat on now, so I will... I've got rid of the little cat. Hang on. Try and put the cat on. Oh, it's there. I've got that many tabs going. Okay, so I'm going to put the little cat back on. Charlie, this is your 40-minute warning. The cat will get you in 40 minutes.
I love cats as well. That's the thing. I'm making it seem like I don't like cats. I do.
We know. Okay, we know. It's just a little scary cat. Right, I'm muting us all, so we will see you on the other side. forgot to unmute myself. And were you ready that time? Did I get you?
I was ready, but it still made me jump a little bit.
Sorry, not really. Sorry. So how did you do, Peter? How was the sprint?
I managed to finish story number 3.
Awesome.
And then wrote a 4th one.
As if you've read 4 short stories tonight. That is wild.
Yeah, but they are very, very short.
They are, but I think they're still
like a paragraph.
Yeah, no, but still, like, concept and executing that. I don't think I could do it in 100 words. So I think that's seriously impressive.
There are ideas that were already buzzing around. So, and then I was submitting. I write articles and reviews and things for Morbidly Beautiful Horror
Oh, cool.
online, and I was just submitting a review that I've just written recently for that for a film, 1958 drive-in movie called How to Make a Monster.
Oh, wow, that's really specific. So how was that?
I mean, it's a good film. It's a lot of fun. So, I mean, I'd already done the review, so I was just trying to submitting it. We were having a bit of trouble on the website, just getting it uploaded. So there was a little bit of back and forth trying to get it on.
So that was a busy 40 minutes for you. How about Charlie? What did you get done during your 40 minutes?
I mean, I was going to do some sewing. I thought before that I'd finish my chapter off.
Oh, okay.
And then I just read for the rest of the time.
Nothing wrong with that. A bit of designated reading time is good.
I have got like quite far in my book now, so you know, win-win.
That's an achievement. I've met my daily word count, which I'm happy about. Just hit under 1,000 words, and I finished a chapter, so I was like, I can't start a new chapter. I just wrote a few notes of what I'll do tomorrow, so that was quite good. And I read a bit more of this, and the horror fields are starting, so I can confirm it is a horror thriller. It's not just a thriller. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything, but I like how Golden Mordovsky is really good at kind of toying with you and like, is this going to be real horror or is this going to be kind of a fake scare? A bit like the kind of 90s horror movies do and like point horrors and stuff. I really like that. Like, is it a prank or is it like a horrible murder? Always fun. So let's see what people in the comments have been getting up to. Also, Tina just answered my question. After is a college bully toxic romance and nothing less is college love triangle romance. Interesting. Let's have a look. Oops, no, that's hiding comments. Let's try again. Oh, nothing less was stepbrother, one of the main characters. Okay, I do like it when an author expands on a world. If you're enjoying it, that's good. Oh, Shelley's had to duck out. Before I forget to say, Shelley from Tales Point Horror Book Club and Kasha from Kasha's Book Cemetery are going to be joining me at the reading sprints next week. So if you'd like to see them sprinting and hear us chatting about books, please join us next week. Kirsty's going to have an early night. Thank you, Kirsty. Another 300 words is great. Oh, cool. Wow, I'm impressed that you're working your way through Alexander Dumas books. So just after we're all saying that classics are hard, you know, you prove us that we can be modern readers and still read classics. One of my favourite, if not one of my favourites of all time. I always had a thing for Three Musketeers stories, particularly when I was younger, and that was what made me read the classics, because I think there's the Three Musketeers, and then, I don't know, there's, I think, other books as well. I actually can't remember that those characters appear in. I turned my cat's nails around 7%. I don't know what turning cat's nails is. Can anyone help with that, Charlie? Peter?
I think it's autocorrect. I think it might be like trimmed or...
Oh, trimmed. Okay.
Yeah.
That does make more sense to me. It could be. Oh, trimmed, yeah. Yeah, Tina has. See, you could have totally convinced me that turning cat's nails is totally a thing you need to do. I just accept so much as fact now. I read too much horror. It's what's that Jane Austen thing that she reads too much and it's adult her brain. I think that's true. I drew a dragon and a fairy. Awesome. I kind of wish, I don't know whether you can share pictures in the comments.
That's my twin
brother.
What's
that, Gru? I just grew a dragon and a fairy.
I was like,
Oh, yeah, cats, fairy babies. I mean, actual babies are a distraction too, Kasha. I totally get it. I don't have pets, but children feel like pets sometimes. Oh, thank you. Hi, is it Met? Ash Princess. I think that is one that's been on my shelf for quite a while, if it's what I'm thinking of. Charlie, do you know Ash Princess?
Yeah, it's a trilogy. He's done a new one now, which is Castle and Their Bones. That is very good.
Oh, cool.
But I can't remember when the second one's coming out. It's either just about to come out, or it's just come out, or it's.
Yeah, I'm just impressed that you immediately knew and could like look to the face on the shelf. So anything you can remember.
In particular, it's like a fantasy one. Chances
Yeah,
are.
I just assumed you would know. Writing an answer for an interview. Totally forgot I was printing. Sorry again, Ashlyn. Yeah, it's funny how being an author, how much of the writing you do actually is not writing books. I think particularly when I wrote Mina 1 and I kind of just said yes to absolutely everything. I was writing so many articles, whereas when I was writing Mina 2, I was like, I do need to write other stuff as well. So I had to try and be a bit more selective. But yeah, I enjoy doing stuff like that. Particularly, I mean, like interviews like yours, Peter. I don't remember, when did I do a Q&A for you? Was it for this book or the last book? I can't remember.
It was in between. It was after you'd announced the second one coming out. I think.
Okay.
And that's when I asked you for the interview when you'd announced the second one was coming.
Yeah, I love a Q&A, and I think that particularly when I get sort of questions from a particular angle, like obviously you're interested in horror, I really like it when you can kind of see the interviewer's personality coming through the questions and their interest, because I think it doesn't just end up being the generic usual questions that you get, and I like that. I think I'm just about caught up on comments. So I think for the last sprint, I'm just going to do half an hour because I can feel myself flagging a little bit. So if you two are still happy to stay, that's great. If you need to head, if like cats or children or, sleep beckon, just let me know if you need to go. I think because I've kind of peaked with my writing, I'm going to do a little bit of social media now, so I will have my phone in my hand. But yeah, have you got any plans, Charlie, for last one? Are you going to plow on with this book?
I'm going to have to go and see the dog because she's already broke through the once.
Oh.
I don't know if you saw that while we were sprinting, but she can now open the doors.
Okay.
Which is not great.
Not useful, particularly.
Especially when you're like, I was trying to have a nice, relaxing, like bubble bath the other day. It's not so relaxing when a 2-year-old, well, not even 2-year-old border collie decides she wants to like play ball. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to pop off and see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she will make it so anyway.
Well, if we see you again in half an hour, great. If not, thank you for joining us. It's been lovely to chat to you. Peter, how about you? Have you got any more sprinting left in you? Anything else you want to get done in this next little bit?
I'm not sure what plans I've got now. Might just look at some of the content that I want to do, get together for Positively Horror. There's another couple of things coming up with some film reviews for a film festival. It's called Dead Northern Festival, which is...
Oh, that sounds good.
I can't remember the name of the cinema now. It's in York, and it's a film festival that's coming up at the end of September. And I've got a film that I want to be reviewing for that. So start making some plans for... there's an interview with the director to coincide with that. So maybe just try and pull some of that together.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to keep trying to be productive as well. You'll just keep me motivated, Peter, that you're doing productive things. Good luck with the dog, Charlie. I'm just going to be fiddling around with the Pomodoro kitty for a minute because I always forget how to change the timing and I get distracted by like the fact that you can change the colour of the cat and stuff. So yeah, okay, I'm going to change.
Are you saying there was an option for an orange cat this entire time, Amy?
I mean, there might be. Hang on. I'm clicking stuff. Nothing's happening.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Orange cat with green eyes, blue eyes, amber eyes. Do you have a preference, Charlie?
Blue.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with orange cat. Yeah, sorry about that. I just feel like I completely let the side down there.
Well, I'm going to have to come back one day and we'll have to do a full new sprint with an orange cat.
Yeah, definitely. It's a deal. Okay, I'm going to set the timer and do a little bit of social media for the last bit. So I will see you all in half an hour. Thank you for joining us so far, you two. And I'll catch up with you all in a bit. I completely got myself with the key this time. Wasn't ready for that at all. I ended up toddler wrangling for most of that time. So you know what it's like, productive sprinting. You know, when you think, oh, they'll just be 2 minutes, and then of course you needed a cuddle, and then
Yeah.
they're lovely, aren't they? But all consuming. So did you have any more productive time than me? Did you get anything done?
Yeah, I started to just pull those bits together that I was talking about for the interview for the blog,
Awesome.
to go along with the screener for the film that's going to be playing at Dead Northern. And once I'd done that, while I got in the writing mood from doing these sprints and doing the short stories, I felt motivated. So I went back to the plans for the longer form story that I was talking about earlier on.
Cool.
So I thought, while I'm motivated and doing this, I might start peering over that again and seeing where I got to, and because I've not touched it for a couple of months, so it's just been lying dormant.
Great.
So
my top tip with that is, before I had an agent, it was really difficult to kind of motivate myself, because you could just spend 20 years, couldn't you, writing the book, and it never happened. So I gave myself a deadline, and it was like, right, this September I'm going to query my book, and I did a mentoring program that helped me as well. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in it, just think to yourself, right, okay, well, in a month's time I'm going to have plotted this out, I'm going to start writing. And I just I see time in increments like that. I've got a writing project that I want to work on after my next couple, and I'm literally like, right, May next year is when I'm going to start this writing project. And I think, honestly, it escalates from there. And I think I saw V Schwab interviewed, and she said that she kind of knows her next like umpteen writing projects, what they're going to be, and I think it's motivating, definitely. So if anybody wants to tell us in the comments what you've been reading, how you're getting on, I think quite a few people have gone to bed based on what I'm seeing. But yeah, we'll just wrap up. If there's anything you want to say before we go, because I need to join the people who've gone to bed and go to bed soon. Grabbing a cup of Java, that's brave. I mean, I don't know what time zone you're in, but I think if I had caffeine at this time of day, I'd be even more hyperactive than I always am. Start reading and order some books instead. That's productive. 4 books to read next week. If you could read those in the week, I'd be very impressed. But yeah, I tend to do this. It's like, I'm just going to order 5 books and I can read 1 book a week. So that works out, doesn't it? Oh, hi, Charlie. So Charlie disappeared from the visuals, and she's here looking after the chat. I should have said that. And yeah, Charlie's still asking the important questions. What books did you order if you're still here? We would like to know. Yeah, if you feel the need for coffee, always very good. You're going to hear a clock going off in a minute. Can you hear the Nightmare Before Christmas clock in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a Nightmare Before Christmas cuckoo clock, and I always forget about it in the sprints. It normally goes off at like a key moment. Read 8%. Awesome. Ooh, good theme, all of those. Well, some pretty dark material in there. I like it. I really enjoyed these Violent Delights. I've got For the Wolf on my list, and Fire and Blood, I think. I don't know. I can't remember. Is that sexy? Is it vampires? I think there's some reason I wanted to read that. I Inked an Elven Night that I drew the other day for last sprint. Awesome. Very cool. Phil is doing all the creative
the brother
things.
Again.
Oh, Phil. I should have recognised from the beard. Hi, Phil. Yeah, I need to see some of these pictures. I don't know. Is Phil on Instagram with his artwork or anything? Or
I mean,
see this stuff?
He's on Instagram. He's at Ulfka on Instagram. And he does, as I say, he does the horror challenge thing that we put together. And he also edits my YouTube videos and all sorts of things like that. So
it's good to have someone on side who can do that for you. Kev, my husband, does all the tech side of it, and I kind of do the creative camera facing stuff. Thank you for joining us, Tina. We're just wrapping up. Charlie approved YA books, so they must be good ones that you've ordered. Kasha's going to read till she passes out. Awesome. Oh, okay. So having coffee at 2 p.m. doesn't seem quite like having coffee at 10 p.m. So I understand a little bit more now. If I had it, it would be really dangerous right now. Oh, Fire and Blood. Now I remember. We're talking Targaryens, aren't we? Huge, epic, massive. I do have that. I haven't read it yet. George R. R. Martin, isn't it? His like 2,000-page procrastination of not continuing the Game of Thrones books. I did go and see him talk when that book came out, and he was amazing to listen to. He was interviewed by a historian, and it's incredible the amount of work he's put into the world building of those books. Well, thank you, Ashlyn. And obviously, I need to start watching She-Hulk. I've been quite tempted. I keep seeing people do the filter of it. Have you watched any of it yet, Peter?
I'm so far behind on Marvel shows. I've not
too.
even watched the ones from like post Endgame. So,
same, exactly the same.
yeah.
I keep seeing them stacking up, and I'm like, how do they make them so fast? Like Winter Soldier looks good.
Yeah.
Trying to think of all the other stuff. Oh, I did watch WandaVision, most of it, but I got towards the end and it seemed really sad, so I stopped watching it because I'm not good with sad things at all. If I like the characters, I really can't cope. I think I've got through the comments, so if there's anything you've missed saying to Peter or I, as I mentioned, Peter, I'm pointing, I don't know which side you're on of the screen. Peter's Positively Horror on Instagram and YouTube. I would highly recommend subscribing and following because, as I mentioned, you'll get lots of great horror content. And as you hear, there's quite a variety of things you're interested in, isn't it? I love the fact that you've kind of got movies in there. And obviously you do a lot of attending real life events, which is great. And that's how we met each other through the book stuff. So maybe at some point I'll have to come along to one of these in real life horror events. It's just trying to fit that in with toddler doesn't quite correlate at the moment. I don't think he's quite there for going to see horror films with me yet, but maybe give him, how old, if you don't mind saying publicly, how old are your kids? Are they at the horror movie stage? I'm sure you've told me this and I've instantly forgotten.
No and yes. My eldest has been asking about watching some, and we have watched Gremlins together.
Oh, Gremlins is a good intro to horror. How old is your eldest, if you don't mind saying?
7.
Like, okay, yeah. So I think,
but yeah, when I was a kid, it was 15 when it was released.
yeah.
And I watched it about the same age. My parents had a video shop, so I always wanted to get these
my parents had a video
out.
shop too. Like, I didn't know that your parents had a video shop.
Yeah,
that's so weird. Like,
so
I'm trying to think. When did your parents have that? Because I think my dad was like late
early
80s,
90s.
early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
so
this is how we turned out.
Yeah, it's why I still collect videos. I've got hundreds of rental videos.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I wanted to watch Gremlins, and I was terrified of it. So when my eldest wanted to watch it, I was like, well, we'll sit together and we'll watch it. And if it gets a bit scary, we'll turn it off. And it didn't bother him at all.
Oh, that's great. I think that's the thing with kids, isn't it? You kind of know your own children. And I remember like asking my mum if I could watch horror films, and she said yes to me, but my brother was just not into it, and he was really scared of them and still doesn't love horror. So I think you can kind of tell from an early age. I think Nathan started telling me that things are a bit spooky. Like I've got some Haunted Mansion stuff that he's 2 and he's like, that's a bit spooky, mummy. So I think he's not running away screaming, but I think he can identify the spooky material in the house, which is basically everything.
Well, after my eldest started really getting into reading, I moved all of my Clive Barker books to the very top shelf.
That's probably for the best. I mean, I think I probably read my first Stephen King when I was around 11. So I think that's probably about the earliest you want to go with that stuff.
Yeah, I think I was 13 when I read my first Barker, and it was one of his more fantasy novels than horror. So I mean, there's still grisly stuff in there, but
I don't think I've read any of the fantasy ones. I've read some of the horror a long time ago. I need to pick some more up. I'm really bad with like adult horror at the minute. I tend to read YA mainly.
He's one of my favourites, Barker. But when he goes for fantasy, they do tend to be they're more contemporary fantasy.
Yeah.
But they're usually really sprawling, big 700-800 page books, which are very good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to get into.
I can handle that. I tend to find I read books like that really slowly, like Stephen King's longer ones. I love them, but they maybe take me months to read, unlike a few days with like a YA. So if I was going to read one Clive Barker book to kind of get me back into it, what would you read?
For the fantasy side, Imagica.
Okay. I don't have a pen or anything. I'm just going to have to remember that.
Probably my favourite Barker. It's just a wonderful story.
Cool.
And for horror, either the Books of Blood, because it's a short story collection, so you can really get your teeth into that, or maybe the Hellbound Heart.
Cool. See, I definitely had both of those. I remember reading Books of Blood, but I'm not sure whether Hellbound Heart might have been one that just kind of sat there on my shelf. I probably still got it actually somewhere.
There's a version of the audiobook available of the Hellbound Heart that's actually read by Clive Barker.
Oh wow, that's cool.
which is really cool. I'd revisit that audio version from time to time.
Oh, that might be a good way for if I can track it down. I might have to start with that. I do like an audio
Yeah.
book. I find that if I can multitask and read at the same time, it's just a bonus, isn't it? Like you're doing something boring. Like to me, driving is boring, but listening to an audio book makes it fun.
Yeah, I did that today. It was a bit slow toward the end of my working day, and I was just doing a lot of data entry. So I listened to Benny Rose, The Cannibal King by Haley Piper, and because
Yeah.
it's a novella, I listened to the entire thing in the afternoon.
Oh, that's awesome. And good that you
Yeah.
can do that while you're working. I think with my work, because I I write like education resources. And
Yeah.
this week we've been working on stuff to do with sound and to do with different stuff in science. So you kind of have to,
Yeah.
and there's one bit on like different scientists through history. So I have to really focus, and I think hearing words would
Yeah.
put me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
A lot
good
of the time I don't get chance, but if I do, I'll just manage to get through what I can.
Yeah. I sometimes listen to music very occasionally while I'm working, but yeah, it doesn't always work. I think I'd end up start typing what I'm listening to. Oh, okay, Cash, I'm going to bring up on screen. It said Hellraiser is based on the Hellbound Heart. That's cool. Okay, I definitely need to make sure I've read that one.
It's only quick. It's a novella, so it's a quick read.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. Based on what you two have just said, I think that might be the one that I start with. So thanks for that. I think the comments have kind of slowed down now, and I can feel myself starting to waffle. So I'm getting into that tired territory of no return.
Getting a bit late now, isn't it?
It is. But thank you so much for sticking with us the whole way, Peter. I always love chatting to you. Everybody, please follow Peter. He's great on Positively Horror. And hopefully you'll come and join us again soon and just keep impressing us with your productivity. And I'd love to hear more about your writing projects as well. So feel free to drop me a DM and we'll chat about that.
No, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's been great fun. It's quite addictive, isn't it? You can see how now you're going to be looking every night for reading sprints like I am. Like, come on, I need to get my fix of productivity in. But yeah, thank you for the chat. Good night. The good nights are starting to pop up in the comments. I'll bring a few up. Oh, that was Tasha again. Good night, Caroline. Thank you for joining us. As ever, Caroline's great. She joins in so many of the chats that I've done. Thank you, everyone, as always, for watching. Those watching live and watching later. Just keep going with the comments. Good night, Kasha. Kasha's on a different time zone to us as well. So impressed with everybody's dedication, turning up from all over the place. Good night, Charlie. Thank you for joining us. It was great to chat to you as well. Good night, Ashlyn. Oh gosh, sorry, all the comments are scrolling. I'm trying not to miss anybody. Oh, you're welcome. I am going to be on next week. I've got, as I mentioned, Kasha's Book Cemetery and Shelley, who is everywhere now, on TikTok, Instagram, and all the places talking about point horror books. So I'm sure there'll be lots of horror chat next week as well. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to sign off now. Peter, you'll still be on screen with me for a minute, just so you know. And everybody else, good night, and I will catch up with you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.